She'd waited for Wolf for hours. At first, she prayed he would come, even willing him with her mind to walk through the archway and relieve her from her isolated perch. And it wasn't only him who was missing. It was the Earl and Robert and her father and William. They were all gone. When at last she could take no more of the pitying glances and questioning looks, she stood. She wanted to run to her chamber and hide. Her chin lifted into the air. Several men stopped talking to take notice of her regal hauteur and composed face. But before she could step down the platform, a loud singing boomed in from outside. Her eyes turned in widened horror to the archway. The sound grew louder until, with a burst of merriment, her father shot through the open door with widespread arms. He didn't stop singing as the Earl, swaying drunkenly on his feet, followed in behind him. Next was William, belting the words to the same ribald tune with wavering harmony. A man she didn't know followed immediately behind William, and finally Wolf stumbled in, supported by the arm of her brother. The men ended their song with a great crescendo that drowned out the playing musicians. The hall cheered in merriment, and the group bowed gallantly for their applause. Ginevra stood still, feeling the gut-wrenching pain roll over her. Tears threatened her eyes and burned her nose. If the singing wasn't insulting enough, their clothes were caked with mud and grime. She even detected a bit of blood on Wolf's sword as it hung from his side. Her knees buckled, unable to support her as she sank wearily into her seat. She felt so alone. "Where have you been?" Ginevra saw more than heard her mother's heated whisper as she went to collect the Baron. The Baron laughed. Turning his head to the Earl, he boasted, "I think we are definitely late, my lord." The two men burst into laughter. The Baron broke through his wife's blockade and headed for the nearby table to swipe a goblet of ale from a knight's hand. The Earl laughed harder, falling back into his youngest son. William caught him easily and righted him to standing. The Baroness huffed and chased down her wayward husband. Ginevra watched them in quiet shock as the blood continued to drain from her features. The skin pulled tautly against her cheekbones. Suddenly, she caught her brother's wavering gaze. His smile faded at once into a remorseful frown. He dropped Wolf's arm and stumbled forward. Slowly, Ginevra forced herself to stand. She stepped around the edge of the table and looked down at him from the top of the platform. Stumbling up to the table, he said drunkenly, "Gin, we can explain. We have good reason." Ginevra's muscles stiffened. She didn't hear Robert through the heavy pounding of her heart. Her eyes met and locked with her bridegroom's. The pleasure faded from Wolf's features. He bowed to her stiffly, his very movement mocking everyone around them. His insult was like a slap to the face. Surprisingly, he walked forward. All enjoyment was gone from his gaze. Pain passed over his features before his features drew into a blank, unemotional mask.